Hello and welcome to Fergie's Gum. My name is Nathan and I'm joined by my good friend Ahmad.
Hi Nathan, how are you?
I'm good. We're on the back of the League Cup exit to Tottenham Hotspur, 4-3 defeat at the London Stadium. It was a strange game because we were 3-0 down within, 55 minutes, 60 minutes, an hour? So not ideal. I imagine you watched the whole thing, whereas I was asleep and watched the extended highlights this morning.
Yeah, I did. To be honest, I turned it off when it was when we were 3-0 down. But then, because I needed to sleep. But then I checked my phone. I saw that we scored one. I opened again. Then, I watched most of it. So, like you said, it was a weird game. But yeah, I'm not too bothered about it.
I think that's what I was going to ask, actually, because with the lineup that he had, obviously, it was a lot of fringe players came back in. Like Ericsson was back in the team. I think, did Xerxes start? No, Højlund started, didn't he? Højlund started. Anthony obviously started this game. Yoro's first start in the League Cup. I know that doesn't mean anything, but he started. I was listening to Talk of the Devils earlier, and they said like his starts or his games have all been like away to City, away to Arsenal, and away to Spurs. So it's not the easiest of runs that he's had. But when you look at the lineup and the way that he's approached that game, I mean, Bayandera as well. We'll talk about him more, I assume. But with the way that he put that squad out, it looked like it looked like Amorim wasn't really that concerned about the competition. Do you think that's fair to say?
I would say he wasn't concerned about the competition because regardless of the competition, regardless of the game, I think he goes into every game wanting to win. But I felt he felt that it was the proper opportunity to give chances to some of the players that haven't been playing at all, like the ones you've mentioned. So, yeah, and I don't think he'd be too upset that we lost, because now we're going to save ourselves from 2 extra games, and I think he really needs the time on the training ground with the players, because we're always having games midweek. So, I think, I mean, the result wasn't good, but I think the performance was not bad. You can see improvements again. You can see that even though he's not playing all the main players and that he rotated a few, you can still see that there's a way of play. There's an identity to the team. So I think that's one of the positives that we can take from this game.
I think the character to show, or the character of the players to try and come back once it was 3-0 did show that there is an appetite to keep going. I think previous seasons we may have just folded completely and accepted that we was going to get slapped for like 6 or 7 goals in a game like that. But they did. I think the substitutions definitely changed things. Bringing Ahmad on just added that energy and spark that it was sadly lacking in the first hour. And obviously he was rewarded with a goal as well for his tenacity. But in terms of the grand scheme of things, yes, he does want to win. Amorim definitely does want to win every game that he plays. But I think he's still experimenting with the squad. And I'll get to the reasons for that in a second. But just on personal performances, I mean, Bayandera is probably never going to start another Manchester United game again. And he really makes me feel like we need another number 2. We definitely need a solid goalkeeper that we can rely on, because if Onana gets injured, I mean, he's been shaky recently as well. But if Onana gets injured, would you really want to play Bayandera in any league game at the moment? Because last night he was shocking. shockingly bad. I know he was complaining about a few little decisions, obviously no VAR in the League Cup, but he was woeful. Fraser Foster was awful in the other net as well, but Bayern he didn't do himself any favours, let's put it that way.
Yeah, he didn't. He's not good enough, I think. It's not easy being the Manchester United goalkeeper. Even if you're number 2 goalkeeper. And personally, I think Heaton, he played a few games, for example, in the friendlies and pre-season, and he played some games last season. I think Heaton is more suited for that. Bayern, we've seen, even last season, he came on, he played a few games, and you can see that he's not that good. With his feet, he's not the worst, and I think that's the only reason we got him, because with his feet, he's decent. But like from a goalkeeper perspective, he's last night, I don't know, like if Onana was in net, it would have been a different result. Even though, like you say, Onana hasn't been on it for the past few games, but you can see the difference, and I think people should appreciate Onana more after seeing that last night.
I think you're absolutely right, and one of the big things is that you see the defenders, they didn't look confident when they were coming back to goal. After that first goal went in, like it seemed to just be like one of those things that rippled through the team, like, oh my God, right, okay, this is going to be one of those nights with Bayern there. Because you have to remember as well, it's not only Bayern's goalkeeping skills and footwork that we need out of that type of game. Onana shouts and directs, and he's like the conductor at the back, telling the defenders where they need to be, telling the midfielders where they need to be, and there's a sense of safety there for everyone in the team. Bayern doesn't have that. He's still young. I still think he'll have a great career ahead of him, but I don't think we can afford to have a raw substitute goalkeeper that we have to rely on, because, as I say, if Onana gets injured, there's absolutely no way we can play Bayern in there. He's too raw for that type of situation to play in the league. He just doesn't offer confidence at all. But I don't think he was alone in being below average. Anthony had a great opportunity to play in that number 10 role and do something, and I mean, it's part of the course. He didn't really light up the stage. Did he get substituted quite early as well? Was it like 50th minute or something like that? And you look at... I don't think he's good enough. Quite simply, as a player, I don't think he's good enough for Manchester United. I don't think he's good enough for the aspirations of the club. And I think that the more games that he plays, the more likely it is that he's going to leave, because he's on a decent amount of money. He's a fringe player sat on the bench. I don't think he'll see out the end of the season. And like I say, these players that come in, the likes of Lindelof, who was injured again, which is dreadful. The likes of Eriksen, Anthony, Bayern. These players have to prove themselves when they get the opportunity. That I know it's difficult when you get a game every few weeks, but when you do get that opportunity, you have to make the most of it. And I feel like Eriksen played okay. It didn't really do anything wrong. But the likes of Anthony, like, come on, man. Like, you've just got to... I don't know what it is. I don't know if he can try any harder. I don't think that's even possible. I think he's got to that stage now where everyone knows what he's about. All the opposition knows what he's about. They've all done their scouting reports on him. They know how to push him. And I just don't think he's as effective as we need him to be. And it's a shame, but also it just shows how far we've fallen, that we're going to continue to give this kid like another try. I don't think he's any better than Bebe.
I think we don't have an option not to start him right now, because especially we're gonna get to that later. But the things happening with Rashford and Garnacho, I mean, we're light in those positions, even with not getting injured. You have to rotate. Like Ahmad can't play every game, so if you don't want to play Ahmad, then I think you have to play Anthony, which is unfortunate. This season is gonna be about that. So this is how the season is gonna be up until the end of it. We're gonna suffer because of lack of quality, because we don't have the personnel for it. We're gonna see those types of performances. But like I think we should all accept that the season is gonna be about just us learning and Amarim learning, and hopefully, just knowing exactly what to do when it comes to next summer.
Well, this is what I was alluding to earlier. The experimental lineups that he puts out at the moment, especially in the League Cup, I definitely think he's giving everyone an opportunity to try and prove themselves. But I think the underlying factor of that is I can see Wilcox, Barada and Ratcliffe essentially telling Amarim, tell us, like, give us the list of the players that have a future here. Because if they don't, on every time they get a cameo, I think that's going to count against them. And I think from January onwards, these players that we're putting on the pitch, like your Anthony's, like your Ericsson's, all of these players that are going out there that don't usually play in the first 11, I think that from January they're going to start to clear them out. And I even think there's a situation where, as well as trying to get rid of players on loan, again, we'll talk about that in the Rashford bit later, they're going to, I think Ratcliffe is brave enough or stupid enough, whatever you want to call it, to just cancel contracts. I think he's willing to lose the money in the interim for the longer term future, for the longer positive events in the longer term future. But I think from January onwards, these players are going to be shopped around. I think United are probably looking to get these players out right now. And I think all the performances and conversations that you will have with Amarim, between him, Wilcox and Barada, they're going to shape what happens from January onwards. And some of those players should be, a bit shaky about their future at Manchester United, because yes, they might be able to go to another club. Yes, they might be in a shop window right now. But I think Radcliffe's he's maverick enough to just cancel contracts and get them out of there and spend that money. Saw it with Ashworth, saw it with Ten Hag, saw it with all the coaches that he brought in.
I mean, I don't know if that would be the smartest idea, especially in January, because...
Oh, it's not smart at all. Don't get me wrong. It's not a smart move. I'm not saying that it's a savvy move. I'm saying it's not out of the realms of possibility.
He is I don't think I think he is too smart for that, because I can see the benefit of doing that, but unless you can get players in, for example, you can follow the Chelsea template. They were literally just stripping up contracts, selling players left, right, and center. But they were also bringing players in. Everyone was, making fun of them, surprised by what are you doing? That's not how it works. But look, I think they've proven us wrong for now, up until now. So I think if he can actually bring players in, he would do it. But the situation we're in with regards to the PSR and FFP, and I don't know, the investment that he put in the club last night, the news that we got that he put in an extra $100 million into the club. I also read that doesn't help in regards to transfers or anything with the club.
Yeah.
So yeah, like a lot of those players that you're talking about, their contracts are up in the summer, so they're gone unless someone buys them in January and we can get a fee for them. For example, Lindelof or Eriksson. And yeah, like I honestly think we've been trying to sell players, most of those players, since last summer, but there's no buyers. So I think we're gonna be in the same situation with a lot of those players. And maybe when it comes to it, Ratcliffe is just gonna decide like, okay, you're not good for the team, then I'll just pay you off and you can leave and do whatever you want.
I think, you're right. I think going back to the actual Spurs game, it's the League Cup. We definitely needed to progress in that because obviously it's a route to Europe, and it's a route to more money. And United are short of cash at the moment as well. So I mean, I would have preferred to have woken up to a 4-3 victory for Manchester United, obviously, but I think Amrim's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place because he needs to give all of those players a chance, but he also knows that they're probably not ready to bring a victory to this side yet. I think he has an idea of who his best 11 is, and he'd probably love to play them all the time. But as you said earlier, he needs the rotation, so he needs to keep spinning these players through the system. But I think overall, the Spurs result probably doesn't care about it as much as progressing in Europe. But it would have been nice to have had that other option of trying to get through to Europe next season through the League Cup.
Well, I'm not sure, through the League Cup, do we actually progress to Europe?
Yeah.
To what?
It's a Europa League. It's a Europa League place, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. I think they're just the FA Cup is
sure?
Europa League.
Really?
I think so, yeah. I think it was... maybe they changed it for a while ago, but I think the League Cup, I'm not sure it gives you a Europa League place. Maybe you can check it out. But on the game...
I'm going to check it. I'm going to check it right now. Go on, you carry on talking.
Yeah, on the game, I just wanted to say, if you take away the goals that we conceded, which were mistakes, individual mistakes, and if you just disregard the result, and if you actually just look at the game and watch the game, you'd be very, very encouraged because the plays that we were doing, the plays we were setting up, the patterns that we were playing, even though it wasn't our main team, you can see that there's something. So that was something that's why I'm not too bothered, because if we would have lost and I wouldn't have seen that, I would have been more bothered because there was no point. But with the performance we put in and the goals that we conceded, they're all individual mistakes. Also, Lisandro. Yeah. Lisandro was off it. Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with him. Lindelof, he got injured, but even before that, he wasn't on it. So, and of course, Bayendir. Eriksson had a few chances. These little things, they make a difference. But the way we were playing, the way we were spreading out the play, the way we were keeping possession, even building up play from the back, which we were struggling with at the beginning of Amram's tenure, you can see progress, which is very good. And I think, for example, on the weekend, I think we're going to be fine.
Against Bournemouth, yes, we'll talk about that. Just to give you an on the second update, you do qualify for Europe through winning the League Cup, Carabao Cup, but it's the Conference League.
Okay.
Still Europe. It's still Europe.
I don't think we'd want that. I don't think we'd want that.
Well, at least it's confirmed you do qualify for Europe, regardless of whether or not you're playing in the far reaches of Eastern Europe on a Thursday, Friday night. So then, we spoke about this briefly last week about Marcus Rashford being dropped for the Manchester derby and what the implications of that may be. Since we last spoke, he has done an interview with Henry Winter, which was weirdly posted on Twitter, not in The Guardian, The Times, The Athletic, or anything like that. The whole interview, exclusive interview, was posted on Twitter / X. And this was done while he was visiting his old school, where I think he'd provided, was it 420 gifts for 420 pupils, which, Rashford's stuff that he does outside of football is just amazing. Like, really, really important. And he went up against the Prime Minister of the UK and beat him in terms of reversing his decision on providing free school meals for kids, because otherwise they might not have eaten that week or that month or whatever it is, which is commendable. However, one single line that's come out of the interview with Henry Winter is that Marcus Rashford has said he's ready for a new challenge. Now, he doesn't specify whether that new challenge is at Manchester United, although you can read between the lines and see the fact that he wants to move. And it's kind of rubbed Manchester United fans up the wrong way for a majority of them. And I'm curious to know, like, I'm kind of in that weird position where I'm kind of heartbroken that a Mancunian lad wants to leave Manchester United to go and seek a fresh challenge, and he's been absolutely rinsed by this club and the chaos that it's caused. And then on the other part of it, it's like he's living the dream of a lot of Manchester United supporters, and he's just casually throwing it away not casually, he's throwing it away to basically, what's the best way to say this? It's all a public image thing. As soon as the quotes came out, I was like, he's getting ahead of the stories that Ineos want to sell it, and that's it. And it's all about self-preservation. He's not been advised well over the last few years, I would say. I think his Players Tribune article that came out was really poorly timed, when he should have been talking or letting his performances do the talking. He went and did this article, which again, it just felt flat to me. It just felt like PR spin. And again, with this, I'm getting the same thing. So I've kind of taught a lot. I've kind of preempted a lot of this. But what are you thinking about this?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. It's sad the way it panned out, but I think it's been brewing for a while, for a few years now. Basically, from even before the season that I had like 30 goals. I don't know. Like I'm like I say, I'm sure there are a lot of things off the pitch that we don't know about, because that's the only explanation. Because there's no way player that he's that good that you can expect 30 goals from him each season, but he's not consistent, and consistency comes from doing the right things every single day. And obviously, that's not what he's been doing. He's been doing mistakes. Everyone does mistakes, but maybe because it's him and the profile that he has, everything gets blown out of proportion, and it affects him. It's been affecting him on the pitch, off the pitch. I don't know. It's unfortunate how it played out, because I always felt that he, like, the next time we'd win the league, he'd be a big part of it. And now, after this interview, I don't think there's a chance that he's going to stay. If there was any chance for him to play his way back into the team, I think now it's over. And like he when you're Marcus Rashford, you're this big name with, like, everyone knows about you all over the world, even people who don't follow football. You have this responsibility on yourself to always to be the best version of yourself on the pitch, off the pitch, and maybe that weighs on him a lot, and it's been weighing on him a lot, and maybe it led him to getting into the state that you don't feel he's happy, you don't feel he's doing his best. So maybe he just needs a fresh start. He needs a fresh start somewhere else, away from all this attention, away from all this pressure. And I still think that if he goes to another club, he's gonna be the star. He's gonna be something like something amazing. And maybe United fans are gonna look at him and say we shouldn't have let him go. But I hope people remember this period and don't let revisionism, I think it's called, like when like looking back and saying we should have kept him. Look, we're the ones who were in the wrong, but we're not, because I think Manchester United as a club, they did a lot to protect him. They gave him big contracts. They made him the main guy. The only thing they might have let him down in was the fact that he never had a stable system. Even though, like, you can't blame that. You still do what's asked of you. So yeah, like I just. And I hope we get to the end of it soon. I don't want this to drag on much longer because it doesn't help anyone, to be honest.
I think that's the key in all of this. Like, I don't want it to drag out for months and months. And I do think that we may accelerate like a loan move for him in January, like in the same way that we've done with Sancho. Because if you think about it, he was dropped for the Spurs game as well. He didn't train the following day due to illness after the interview, which I think caught everyone off guard as well. Henry Winter did an interview with someone, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Stretford Paddock. He did an interview with them saying that the interview was set up a week before, so it wasn't on the date that he was dropped. You know, it wasn't like he's been dropped, right, okay, I'm going to set up an interview and tell my side of the story. However, I do feel like if it was to do with the fact that he was not performing in training, that would have come through very quickly under Amorim. If Amorim was pushing him and pushing him and pushing him and not seeing any return, then I think a conversation would have been had, or there would have been an inkling that Amorim was like, not feeling Rashford. I'm not feeling it. I don't know why, but I'm just not feeling it right now. And I think that was probably what spurred Rashford to do that interview. And the thing is, it caught everyone off guard as well, because he didn't tell anyone at the club that he was doing this interview. Because you look at the press conference that Amorim had to do pre-Spurs, and you can see, like, when he's asked that question about the interview, he knew nothing about it. He hadn't actually spoke to Rashford at the time. It kind of caught everyone off guard because, you know, he was thinking that he was going to be part of the squad. And he still maintains that Manchester United is a better team with Rashford in it. So I feel like he's burned his bridges, really, in the pursuit of self-preservation. And it's really sad to see. And I still stand by the fact that he's been advised absolutely terribly by the people around him. And I still think that saying something so direct as, I'm ready for a new challenge at this time in the season, and it's not the first time. Rooney's done this, Ronaldo's done this before. It's not the first time we've been upset with a player for Manchester United. But the timing of it's just, it's bizarre. Unless he knows that he's going in January, it's just really bizarre, because who's going to buy him? Would Saudi buy him? They're the only ones that could really support that wage. And I can't see Man United wanting to pay a majority of that while he's playing at another club in a league that's competitive. So
I don't think he'd want to go to Saudi because it's too early in his career. I think he still wants. I still think he would do well at one of the bigger clubs around Europe. And this is based on nothing. It's not based on facts or anything. But I personally think he was meant to leave this summer, like the summer that passed. I think the fact that he was crying after the FA Cup win, I know maybe we read too much into these things, but I actually feel that he felt that this was his last game for the club, and that's why he was that emotional. Because it's not like we won the Premier League or the Champions League or something. It's not worth tears, you know. So I actually felt that was his last game. For one reason or another, he didn't get a move to another club. I think maybe PSG was the biggest option, but they changed their approach to transfers this summer. They stopped going for superstars. They're going for just hardworking players. So, but the person I feel most for in this situation is Amram, to be honest. Because now, what do you do as Amram? Something I wanted to ask you to get your insight about. If you were Amram, what would you do? Would you just drop him and just like you did last night, and then just face this barrage of questions every single press conference? And you can't say. Aaron can't come out and say, no, he's not part of my plans. He's not going to play again for the club. Or do you play him again so that his transfer value doesn't drop and you keep him in the market? It's a sticky situation for Amr. I don't know what to do.
It is a difficult situation, and it's not just a difficult situation for Amorim, it's a difficult situation for Manchester United now. Because as soon as a player says they want to leave, you can take at least 5 to 10 million off their price tag, because they know now that the club will want to shift them on. So we're no longer in the strong position to sell him at the top price and get exactly what we want to get for him. So he's, by doing that interview and saying that he wants to leave, he's undermined his club, his company, the business that pays his salary every single week. And he's completely undermined that. And as you say, he could do a job elsewhere in Europe, but now United are negotiating with vultures because they know that this person wants to leave. They know Rashford wants out. So now they don't have a negotiation with these buying clubs, which I think is unreal. And I don't think he realised that when he said it, but that's the situation. In terms of does he play under Amorim, I don't know how you can play someone like that wants to leave. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if on Saturday, is it? Did we play Bournemouth?
Sunday.
No, Sunday again. I always get it wrong. Anyway, if you're Amorim and you have a player like that, you can say all the things that you want to the press, saying that we'll judge it week by week. But now he has a situation where he has to act. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Bournemouth press conference, he just comes out and says he's not part of the squad at the moment. And I can see him being marginalised now. Because what's the benefit of continuing to play an asset that is, it's horrible calling him an asset, the point of playing Rashford when he's not performing well on the pitch anyway? Is he going to perform any harder for you knowing that he wants to leave? What's the benefit of that for Amorim? I don't see it. He's been woeful. His performances have been really more misses than hits this season. And for Amorim, he's probably thinking, I need to work without this player right now, which is why he brought Garnacho back in, I assume. And you can't just bring Rashford in, because what type of, if he was to play against Spurs last night, what type of message would that have sent to the rest of the squad? That you can go around and you can say anything and do whatever you want with no repercussions. And I don't think it helps anyone at all. And he's put the manager and he's put the club in a really difficult situation without, I don't know if it was be intentional, because that would have been malicious, but he's definitely has to be aware now of the situation that he's created. So to your point, I would not play him if I was Amorim. I would not play him unless he's going to go public and say it was a mistake to make those statements. I'm 100% for United. I'm going to try my hardest for the rest of the season, and then we'll see what happens. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Even the way the interview went, the Rashford interview went, like you can see, like it wasn't like gray. There was no gray area, and then the things he said, it was so obvious. It was clear what he was saying. He was saying when I leave and not if I leave, and that when I leave, I'm gonna go out the way I want. Like I don't want to go out the way other players that I've seen who were actually like big players for the club, but the way they left wasn't appropriate. So I think it was just obvious, and I wouldn't say it was malicious from his side. I just think he was looking out for himself, and like that was the only thing he was looking out for. Like he didn't take into consideration the club, the manager, his teammates. So yeah, it's. I don't get why these things happen to United. Like it always seems to be something like this with United. You don't see these things at other clubs, like very rarely. But we seem to have this situation like every other year, if not even more frequently. Like we've had Cristiano, we've had big soap opera with him. Jadon Sancho the same, Marcus Rashford the same, Paul Pogba the same. Like I don't get it. Like it's just it doesn't make sense. What is it with United that leads to that? I don't know.
I assume it's the chaos behind the scenes, and when Ineos came in, they said that there was no focus on the football and sporting side of things. So standards have slipped, and I think these agents that are coming in there know that they can make a lot of noise for their clients if they do interviews or if they post on social media. And it is completely self-preservation. That's the only thing about it. But the issue that Marcus Rashford has is that there are not many clubs that will pay that salary for him. There are not many clubs in Europe that can afford to pay that salary. And also, Manchester United are the ones that will decide where you go. So if you think you're going to be lining up for Arsenal, in January, it's highly unlikely that they'd even sanction that. They will go where they feel like you will be out of the way, in the same way that they handled like Greenwood. Like, they if you want to leave, then you go somewhere where you can't cause us damage. I think Sancho, they were the only club that would do a loan and buy at the end of it. So they accepted it. There's still the clause in there that he can't play against us in any league game, I think. Or he can't play against his parent club. But I think with Rashford, they'll move him further on. And I know we're kind of treading old ground here, but a lot of the pundits have come out since then, and they're wondering, like, where do you think you're going? Like, why have you said this? He's getting rinsed by ex-Man United players and, wider Premier League stars, people that have been there and done that, questioning the timing of it, questioning the wording of it, questioning where does he think he's going to go, because he doesn't get to dictate those types of things. Like, it's really sad, but it's hard to feel sorry for him when he was the one that did the interview and said that he's going to leave.
I think there's no way he would have done this interview unless he knew that he's going somewhere. Like he had something lined up, at least like 80% sure he's going to go there. Otherwise,
but you can't. As a player, you can't do that. Your club will ultimately decide whether or not you go to a rival or you go overseas. So if they get a bid from Al Hilal, for example, or one of those teams that's has the funds to pay his salary, they'll accept it, and then it's up to him then to decide whether or not he wants to leave or whether he wants to just sit and sulk. And I've got a feeling he'll just dig in and he'll just sit and sulk, and he'll be relegated to the under-21s. And even this way that he's talking about, he doesn't want to leave like the rest of the players that's left on bad terms and stuff. He's already going to leave that way. He's already signed the cards that says that's how he's going to leave by doing that interview, whether he likes it or not. Well, we've talked about one player going out in Marcus Rashford, but who comes in to replace him then?
I think it's very important that we get this, whoever comes in, we have to get it right, because honestly, we've been struggling for a few years now in the attacking position. So you need someone who can actually guarantee consistency, hard work, and like just end product and good decision making, because we've not had that in a long time, and I would say it's like 80% of our issues as a team. So if you wanna let a player like Marcus Rashford leave, then you have to make sure whoever comes in, they have to actually be ready for it. There are a few names.
What you want is, just before you go into the names, what you want is a carbon copy of Ahmad out on the right wing to come over to the left hand side and provide that exact same tenacity and energy. But does that person actually exist out there that can come in and do that job?
I wouldn't say it has to be like a carbon copy, or like it doesn't have to be tenacious. I just want someone, honestly, in my head, it's someone that's physical, someone that has pace and power, someone that can actually go inside or out, right, left, and someone who can actually just guarantee end product. Like this is some like Garnacho. Garnacho, he's okay, he's fine, but his end product, his decision making, lets him down. So that's why we can't depend on him on the left. So if you want to bring in someone, like I don't know, I'm gonna just bounce a few names off of you.
Let's do it. Let's go.
The ones that we've been linked to are Nico Williams, for example.
Yeah, I think isn't he destined for Barcelona though?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But I haven't watched enough of him to be honest to know if he's actually fitting for the role that we're looking for. But what we've seen in the Euros, for example, even though I hate judging a player based off of an international tournament, a 4-week international tournament, we've done this mistake with Amrabat, for example,
and Karol Poborski.
Okay,
one lob and he's in.
I think Nico Williams with Bilbao, he's been doing well so far this season, but I don't know. Would you go for him?
I would take him, yeah, but I think he's Barcelona bound, so I think I don't think it would be an option for us. Maybe Amorim could change his mind, but I just feel like it's kind of his destiny to go to Barcelona.
Okay, Rafael Leao.
I don't know enough about Leao, so it'd be wrong of me to kind of talk about him. I know like he's a great player, just simply because of the buzz around him. I don't watch enough of Serie A to know whether or not he's going to be the man to replace Marcus Rashford. The only player I watch in Serie A is McTominay, obviously, every Napoli game.
With Leao, honestly, like he's been being hyped up for the past 2 seasons or 3 seasons. The season they won the league, when Milan won the league, I think it was 2 seasons ago, he was the main man. But the thing with Leao, I don't think he's consistent enough. Like he's good. You can see a clip every once in a while of him doing something incredible, but like I don't think he's consistent enough. And I think this is part of the issue that we've been having. So I don't know. Even though he's powerful, he's tall, he's fast, he's really fast, and he can go inside or out. But like I don't know, like I can't. And the Italian league, we haven't been having much luck recruiting players from there for the past few seasons. So I don't know about Leao. Another one is Son, Youngmin Son. He's out of contract end of the season, but he's old. He's 32 years old. He's going to be 33 probably.
Old.
I mean, like old in terms of football players.
Talking to someone that's talking to a 43-year-old man here. How dare you?
I don't know.
He's an outside shout, but I can't see him doing that. I think Spurs definitely need to extend his contract. And I think they will do, based on the fact that he is such a great servant to the club. I think if you can get rid of him, even if his returns are diminishing, I think you can't get rid of him just for what he brings in terms of his personality and longevity at the club. I think Spurs have to sign him back up to another contract, even if it's 1 or 2 years. They definitely have to. I'd love to see him play for United.
Yeah,
I'd love to see him play at United. I'd take it.
Like, the only reason I'd go for him is because, like, he has Premier League experience, which I always say, like, we need players. If you want to buy players, you have to buy from the league if you want to actually compete for the league eventually. And he has experience, but the thing is, like, I'm not sure about, like, the profile, like the age profile, because it seems we're moving away from that. So I don't know about Son. I'd love to see him but it wouldn't be like a long-term signing, which is not something. On a free, though, it's not the worst idea. Another one is Kvaratskhelia from Napoli.
Who?
Kvara, the left winger, the Georgian.
Oh, yes.
You know,
I can never pronounce his name, so you could have said anything there. But I know who you said as soon as you said a winger from Napoli. I know who that is, yes. He's very good. Wasn't he like very close to leaving Napoli this season? At the end of last season. Wasn't he very close to leaving and like the president or Ellis came out and was like, nope, absolutely not. You're not going. And his agent, I might have got this wrong, but I'm sure his agent got involved and was like, they agreed to let him leave and blah, blah, blah. And then he ended up signing a new contract. I may have made all of this up, but this is the.
I think you're right. I think it has. I remember something like that.
He'd be a great addition. He'd be amazing.
Yeah,
for United. I think his price tag might be a bit too high. He's like, what, 22, 23?
Around that,
he fits he fits the profile. And when you said there isn't a carbon copy of Ahmad, I think he's quite close to that. I think they play in a very sort of similar way. He's very tenacious. He's very quick. He's quite small and agile.
Low gravity.
I think he would be I think he'd be a great addition to the squad. But again, I think that will come down to cost more than anything else. But yeah, out of everyone you've mentioned so far, he's the one that I would take.
But I think the one I'm going to mention now, I think he's the most ideal signing. And he is the closest thing to Ahmad, if you want to. Even though, in my opinion, he's better than Ahmad. It's Rodrigo from Real Madrid. I think if you bring him in... He's actually very good, but he doesn't get the chance, and he never plays in his preferred position, which is left wing.
Well, this is what I was going to say. Again, I don't watch enough of Real Madrid to know about Rodrigo. I know he's a great player again, but every time I hear a story about Rodrigo, it's about him not getting into the first team. Like,
yeah, but like you can't get him. Like,
they've got an amazing squad, right?
Exactly. Like if he doesn't have a position in that team, because if he plays on the right, and he's not the best on the right. His position is on the left, but you have Vinicius and you have Mbappe to play there. So yes, I don't think that would be like a negative that he doesn't get into the team. In my opinion, it plays in our favor, because that would mean that he would want to leave to actually be a starter, or like even a star in another club, which is not getting at Real Madrid. And he would actually be really, really good for the league. I think he fits the league.
Yeah. I think that'd be a great shout. But the one player that isn't on your list, and it's kind of a left field option, but I think Gyökeres is the man to replace Rashford, not off the left, but down the middle. I think he's the person that you would bring in, and then you would make more of the wingers that we've already got to fill in those positions. I think Garnacho suddenly becomes the most consistent person that plays on that left wing. and then you work with a better striker going forward. I think that might be a better option for it, simply because Amorim knows him. He's worked with him previously, and it's about then telling those wingers exactly what needs to be done for Gyökeres to thrive. Get the ball into this area, that area, make sure it goes early for this, for that. And I think he could be the perfect foil. And I know, again, it's not replacing Rashford like for like, because he's a winger turned striker, turned winger again. But I think Gyökeres could be that person, mate. Up on Sunday, not Saturday, it's the challenge of Bournemouth at Old Trafford for Amorim. Usually this would be a game that you would think is a home banker and that we'd probably steamroll them. But after a shaky start to the season, Bournemouth have come out flying. They're doing all right again. And I think they're going to pose a bigger threat than we probably anticipated maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago. How do you see this one going?
I think we have what it takes to win this game. I think confidence is higher than before, even though we lost last night. But if you bring in Ahmad into the team, if you bring in Kobe, the defense, I think we have a chance of winning. But Bournemouth, like I say, they've been doing well. Last 4 games, they've won 3. And they drew the last one against West Ham. They're a very physical side, very well drilled. Their manager is brilliant. Areola, he took them to another level. They have really good players. If you look around the whole team, they're very impressive. It's not going to be easy. But I think we have to win. I think we have to win because even if we win, it would put us maybe 7 or 8 spots higher in the league.
It puts us above Bournemouth. If we beat them, it puts us above them. So they're currently sat in 6th and we're in 13th. So if we do beat them, I think it's dependent on the goal situation. Like if it's by more than 2 or something like that. But we'll go above them. So yeah, it's really tight in the Premier League at the moment. Probably the tightest it's been in a very, very long time. Apart from Liverpool, obviously, sitting, at the top, away from the likes of Arsenal, away from Man City, who I'm just noticed that the whole Forest right now, which is hilarious to me. But then again, so away. It's a really tight season, and there is all to play for, but it all starts with putting a run of games together, because you can't have a win one week against Man City and then get beat the following week against Bournemouth. You just can't. If you've got any aspirations of climbing the league, you have to start stringing these things together. And I think over this period that's been really intense with games, Amorim will definitely know what his best 11 is. And I think we'll start to see that more and more in the starting lineups that are coming up. So with that in mind, who do you expect to be starting? What's the starting 11 for you this week?
It's going to be pretty much the same 11 that started against City last weekend.
Buying deer in net though, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. First name on the sheet. Just bring back all the players. Bring back Onana. Mazraoui, He looked leggy last night. I think he's been overplayed. He had a knock against City, but he played regardless. He did well, but still, it wasn't like he looks like he needs a rest. I don't know if you adjust him. You could play Dalot on the right, Malacia on the left. Also, Martinez needs a rest, but I don't think we can replace him with anyone. So I think it's going to be Malacia, Dalot, Lisandro. I think Maguire and Delic come back in. Midfield, Ugarte. Again, last night he was immense. He was. He shows every single game. He can be something very important for the game, for the team going forward. So I think Ugarte comes in or like keeps his place. Casemiro, I don't think you play Casemiro. Maybe you bring back Bruno into the centre midfield. Yeah, and then up top, I don't know, Højlund or Xerxes. Xerxes scored last night. Højlund didn't do much. Maybe you start Xerxes. Ahmad for sure. Off the left, I don't know. Maybe probably Garnacho. We don't have an option, to be honest. It's either Garnacho or you play Bruno there again and you play Kobe or Casemiro next to Ugarte. I don't know, to be honest. Still not clear.
Was there one more space that you haven't filled in, or is that it? So you put not Casemiro, sorry. You put Ugarte and possibly Bruno in the centre bit. Is that right? Is that 11 players? I lost count. As you were talking about,
because I kept on switching players in my head, so like probably I confused you as well. So.
Well, the only change that I would make from that, I'd start Højlund, by the way. So just to give him that run of games, that we're giving him it's you are the man, go for it, like give him that confidence. But then Ugarte and Kobe in the middle with Bruno just in front of them, maybe off the left or off the right. And then, off the left, and then Ahmad on the right. I think that's right. I think that's the right amount of players. But, yeah. It's going to be tough. Who would be your pick for fantasy football then? I've had an absolute nightmare because I had Ahmad literally first sub on my bench who never got to play last weekend. So I'm kind of giving up on FPL. But who's your pick this week?
I think it's Ahmad again. I think he's the only one that's like makes sense for him. Even last night he came on, he got a goal and an assist. Against City, goal and assist. I think last 10 games for United he has 10 goal contributions. So, or even 11. So yeah, I think it's Ahmad. Like he's the smartest choice. He's cheap. He's gonna play for sure. So let's go for Ahmad.
I think Ahmad is the easiest choice. I think he's definitely the one that would get you the points. I'm going to say though, as a differential, because not many players, FPL players, have got him right now. Bruno, I would say he's probably a decent shout if you're looking for a differential to get up your mini leagues, for example. I think he's a good shout to have. He's on penalties. I think he's back from corners as well. I think I saw last week, maybe.
He is on
maybe
corners.
Not. And I think he always poses a threat from free kicks as well. So if you're looking for a differential, it has to be Bruno. Score prediction then?
I would say 2-0. I just hope for like a comfortable game, comfortable 2-0 win, routine. Yeah, just nothing too nervy, just like a stable performance, which is just not very difficult to be honest. We've been doing well. Keeping possession well, so yeah, I can see that 2-0.
I would like another statement win like we did against Everton, like a big thrashing, but I think it's going to be closer than that, and I think it will probably be something like 2-1 or maybe even just 1-0. I think it's going to be quite a nervy game, but like you say, I'd love an absolute thrashing, relaxing game. Enjoy the weekend, lads. Do you know what I mean? But I can see it not being that. So, 1-0, I'm going to say. There we go then, another podcast over and done with. Thanks for listening again. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube, Fergie's Gum Podcast, and Blue Sky, Fergie's Gum Pod. And I'll tell you what we could do is, if you are listening to this and you do have any questions, you could leave a comment on the YouTube page, or you could leave a message on whatever we post on Blue Sky as well. Because it'd be good to kind of get your interactions in there, any questions that we can answer on the podcast with our very limited knowledge, or definitely my limited knowledge of football in the world. You're all right. You've got encyclopedic knowledge of world football, Ahmad.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to get in touch, then do that. and we shall speak to you again after the Bournemouth game.